Hello everybody, this is Jay in the lab today, and what we're going to do is show you a presentation of what it's like when you move or upgrade to a version of EPO. In this case, I went from 5.10 update 4 to update 9. In this particular case, we added 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a lot of updates. So I'm going to make believe in this particular case that I have a problem and I want to roll it back. Well, we've never really had this in the past. And when we tried to do anything like a rollback, forget it. It just didn't work very well, and you didn't even bother to do that. You have to go back to a backup. So we're going to look at this feature. We're going to do a repair first and see what this does. So it's going to try to stop the services. And then it's going to attempt to do this repair. This is the first time I've actually seen this performed. I'm doing this new just like you might do it, except this is a virtual environment. It's all controlled, so now we'll get a chance to see what works, doesn't work. This appears to be an anomaly because when I go over to look at these, go to the services, you'll see the Apache. The Apache typically stops pretty quickly, but the Tomcat does not. And here's the Tomcat service just kind of spinning away. So we're going to take care of that. Apache here is stopped. Let's try this again so we can actually see what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to start the Apache back up. Now, if you were just a regular user, you weren't used to EPO before and how it behaves, you'd be going, I don't know what to do. So let's try this again. We're going to reapply and watch what's happening under the hood. When it says it's going to stop the Tomcat and the Apache, these two services are very important. Tomcat's for logging in, Apache belongs to the agent and communicates with all your agents. Or I should say, it is used by your agents to communicate to EPO. And then the event parser is used to send the events up. I'm going to refresh this so you can see everything is running here. Let's just start this guy too. All right, just like normal. I'm going to reapply. And you're going to see that the Apache stops pretty quick. The event parser stops reasonably quick. I mean, I don't have a lot of stuff running on this system. And now it's decided that the Tomcat wants to stop properly. What's he complaining about? The number of these couldn't stop. This is another little problem that for some reason it likes to do. So I'm going to hit OK. Now you already saw here that we had the primary services, the event parser, the Apache, and the Tomcat. They're already stopped. So in this mobile plugin service, I'm going to hit reapply, and you're going to see that it's going to like go, oh, okay. And it says, all right, I will now repair. So this is not a perfect process. They're going to need to find a way to make this a little bit better. And now we're going to actually start them up. I'm going to go back here and look again. And you'll see once again, Apache takes a while to start. Tomcat, you notice the roles kind of changed. You stop Apache pretty quick. The event parser stops pretty quick, but you have to wait on Tomcat. Or you have to stop it manually because it doesn't stop in a timely manner. And then when you actually turn it back on, Tomcat and the event parser come up really quick, but then you have to wait on the Apache. Okay, everything's up and running. These two servers are very important, and this guy obviously has to run because you're not going to get events from your clients being processed into SQL. All right, perfect. It finished. The repair was successful. Now, we say, wow, I really don't like the way this thing really worked. I want to actually roll it back. So in the original update for 9, I'm going to run this updater again. You should know that you actually have this ability. I'm going to put in my SQL password in this particular case because I'm not using a domain authentication. All right, hit continue. And it says previously installed updates. Here's your updates. Now you'll also notice something kind of interesting here if you didn't catch that. the screen comes up and looks like this. You would have absolutely no idea. They really should have put the buttons down here so you have an idea, or put them in a more obvious place. So I'm going to say installed updates. And then you have these two buttons where you can actually do a repair or do a rollback. Let's roll it back. Fingers crossed. Now we're going to look over here and see what it's doing. It doesn't really tell you, at least on this screen. It should tell you that it's actually going to stop services, but you notice you don't get that luxury here. It's kind of very interesting. Why don't they do that? They do it on the repair, but they don't do it on the rollback. So over here, you see that stopped, that stopped. Tomcat's still buzzing along, so it's not exactly going to roll it back until you shut that off. I'm going to actually stop it, otherwise this thing, well, let's just wait for it. Let's see if it times out. There's nothing, whenever you do a rollback or you do an upgrade, one of the things you don't like to see are these errors that says, oh, I couldn't do it. You want it to be as smooth as possible. You want it to be nice and sweet as honey. So this guy is just not doing anything because Tomcat is actually in this state. I'm going to hit stop, and we'll see if we get any visual indication that this is going to continue. Successfully rollback, and everything's starting again. Okay, let's see if that's true. Patches up. We're going to be starting here, so I'm going to wait because I don't want to get the error message, which I would if I bring up login. I must have beat the process coming up. I did. If this wasn't running, you'd have a status message over here on the login screen. All right, so I'm going to log in. Go up here to the menu, come down here, it's update 4. So the rollback actually worked pretty well, pretty impressive. But there are a couple of hurdles and knowledge barriers that you'll have to jump over in order to make sure that it works. Well, for many of you, you're probably going to be looking at this going, I just was assigned to EPO like 2 weeks ago. I don't know very much about it. I had to upgrade it. It's very uncomfortable. Let's try to do the update now. We'll go the other way. Come back here, and I'm going to say finish. Now we're going to upgrade. Hello, this is Jay in the lab, and today what we're going to do is we're going to actually upgrade from update 4 all the way up to the latest update. And we're going to know that we're going to be doing that to whatever the version here. In this case, it's update 9. Going to execute this EPO updater. You should run it on the EPO console too. I wouldn't do this remotely. A lot of things can happen. If you put it on the EPO server, you have a higher success rate. Less likely for it to run into issues. So I'm going to put in either my domain password, whatever the screen goes to show. In this case, I'm using a SQL account. And then it's going to come up, and we're going to make this nice and big. This is not a small thing either. Make the screen bigger so you can actually observe. I have update 9, and because you saw here I'm running update 4, it's going to let me have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a lot here to read. All right. The other thing also is checking the extensions. All right. Here's our first lesson. I'm going to close this because I don't need that now. But we're going to look at a couple of things that are going on here for many of you who have never done this before. What take the mystique away from here. And I have my services. So the Apache service, event parser, and the Tomcat. Tomcat's necessary for logging in. If you turn that off, you're never going to get this screen for the EPO. The Apache services talks or becomes the receptor for all your clients that are talking out in your enterprise. And then when they send all their events, they're going to get processed to SQL using the event parser. So those are the three major services. They have this mobile service, which is a relative newcomer. I don't care about that right now. All right. If you do have it, then obviously you want this running, but I'm not all that excited about it right now. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually do the upgrade. So I'm going to click on continue it because I've read everything. And it says, hey, do you want to apply the updates? I sure do. Now, this is where we start to run into our first challenges. You'll notice that Apache and the event parser stop pretty quick. It even tells us right here, I stopped them. But this mechanism of stopping services is often very confusing to McAfee in itself. When it's coded to say stop, you may be confused because in a second we're actually going to get an error message. And the error message is going to say, hey, I couldn't stop a number of these services, one or more. And I'm going to let you see the message, so when you get it, you're not going to be twiddling your thumbs to wonder what to do next. Okay, so predictably after a period of time, minutes, you get this message. And you'd be sitting there, maybe on a change ticket, change control, you're waiting, you got people on the phone, they're watching you, and they're like, oh no, this doesn't look good. Don't worry. Now, if you look down here to the Tomcat service, he's kind of like, yeah, I didn't feel like stopping. Maybe he'll stop eventually, maybe he won't stop eventually. I'm going to click OK. And it says, in this particular case, and I've seen many times, where this green check mark will turn into a red X, and you're like, it didn't stop. You come over here and you'll see that it is stopped. So I'm going to just manually come over here and hit stop. Click, right click, click stop. All right, so now it's stopped. Don't worry, just come over here and say reapply. And it says, oh, okay, the services are stopped. It applies all of those updates, and then it's going to start all these services. What I would do is just don't click this finish button. If it were me coding this, I would actually have that dimmed out until this actually is all successful, and then click finish. If you click finish here and just try logging in right now, I'm going to close this guy, open it up real quick before it starts. Oh, didn't do it in time. Okay, everything started. Just for a learning moment here, let's stop this manually. And I'm going to refresh this. If you don't pay attention to this, you might miss it. You see, if I have the screen up to here, it would look normal, but it's not normal. So always make sure your screen is wide open. The local agent handler server or service is the local agent handler service is not running. Speak English. How about the Apache service is not running? I understand that. Click start. Come back up here. And if I hit F5 to refresh, presto changeo, it is gone. Now notice the new screen here. I want English. I just click English. I want Italiano. Everything is in Italian. This is a way for them to tap into their different languages. Now in the past, it's already been aware of the language based on the operating system that you're using. However, if you were, and I'm just speculating here, but it's a reasonable reach, I know Spanish, but I am on an American or English-speaking operating system. I can make this on the fly in the language that I want. It's actually kind of nice. I can see where if I actually was working on one of these systems remotely while I'm consulting, I would not, this wouldn't work for me. So I could play, I could pick on English. So then I'm going to go to admin, or the account that I would normally log in as. Head on over to the menu. I'm running update 9. Perfect. Well, thanks for coming along for the ride and watching this process. Hopefully it gives you some insight as to what the upgrade process should look like. And from the lab, I'm Jay. Thanks for watching.